Alright guys, welcome back. I'm back with another video. Now this is live. So I'm just gonna wait for a little bit until a couple of people showing up, but of course most of you gonna watch later on. So I'm just gonna go right through it, and I'm just gonna stay another hour. Obviously 1 hour, it's my aim to stay. So there we go. Now today was a good trading day. Obviously, if you want to trade this stock, go right ahead if you want to, but again, like, there's a lot of volatility here, right? No, not much. This is Gamestop. Obviously, if you look at the daily volume, it's again 1% of the total shares being traded back and forth. How low can this go? I don't know, but today in the market though, the S&P 500 was high. It went up. It's a little high. Crazy. Sorry. I'm trying to look for the chart for the S&P 500. Obviously, it is a little bit better here. Okay, so my prediction that it's gonna go down was kind of shot there, but that doesn't mean it's not gonna ever come down again. This could be just short covering, right? They've been shorting the market for a long time, and it seems like it's an oversold condition, right? If you look at the weekly, right there, Bollinger Band, and boom. It's like anytime there's a lot of force to come down, but this move is not natural, right? It's rare to see the S&P 500 gaps up like that unless they're planning to smack it right back down, right? Now the next level that I'm looking for is, again, not a financial advisor, not a technical analysis person, so please don't take any trade based on my analysis. My education comes from Googling things, okay? Please. All right, I just had to say that. So my thought is that they're gonna try to do this next. Again, it's just a technical thing. It could be inverted head and shoulder, right? And then rock it back up again due to inflation and other stuff. But is that a fake out though? It could be a fake out. This could also play out where, you have... Okay, hold on, oh man, can I just delete the whole thing here? Remove it. Oops. Actually, oh, that's an indicator that I just removed. Sorry. Okay, so, and then if they are not doing that, they could also do this zigzag thing, right, according to the trading, and then just continue the trend down again. I mean, the trend line has been, it's being traded in the range, right? Hold on, I'm trying to look for a parallel channel right here. And this is just like a amateur way of finding a trend line here. Right there, that trading range. If you look from the bottom here to here, so it's within that range. But if you want to tighten it a little bit, we'll kind of break through this already. It's just a fake out, or perhaps I'm just looking at the wrong thing, right? Anytime you want to do a trend line, you want to see that happen. Now, you could kind of draw that. It might goes here. And that could be the inverse head and shoulder too. But you have to wait until this thing breaks out for you to confirm that it's going to go up higher. So right now, within the trading range, you know, it probably is going to fill this gap right here. Try to fill that gap and perhaps hit that. It could also do this, where it's gonna bounce and trading off of this, break through, bounce, and then down lower. Prediction? I don't know. It could go either way, right? So I'm not helping you guys whatsoever. Anyway, just killing time here, you know, waiting for a few more people to join. All right, so let's see. By the way, so what I was noticing, of course, right? The S&P 500 went up substantially, but GameStop doesn't move, right? When the S&P 500 went down, GameStop moved down even more. So again, they're trying to do their best to manipulate people into selling this stock, but of course, it's only 1% volume every single time, and it's being suppressed. Obviously, everything is centered through dark pool. Order has always been up to 8% versus, buy order 8%, while sell order 20%. On average, it's around there. So nothing new to see here per se. Hold on. Now I forgot what I right about here. So GameStop right now is traded at 1364. 1364, you guys. So, can it go lower? And again, I'm trying to just prepping people ahead of time here. Anything could happen. But what I also want to kind of tell you is the fact that Palantir just got an earning today, and it surged 20% today on its earning. What is their earnings report? Now, this is kind of running into the theme of me thinking that everything that you're seeing, remember, these analysts want to run Palantir up for a reason, okay? And when they want to run it up, it's going to be like this, where the estimated, the estimation of how much money they're actually going to make on revenue. This is revenue. Okay, GameStop does better in revenue. This is per quarter. What was last GameStop earnings quarter in terms of its earning last quarter? $1.16 billion. Okay, GameStop makes substantially more money than Palantir. Last quarter was a beat of 78%, okay? Versus today's Palantir beats earnings per share is 23.8. You're telling me that this is not manipulated? You're telling me that GameStop is doing worse than any other company? And another thing that I was thinking too is that these analysts are lowering expectation for this type of beating to take place. Okay? And they could make it run at will. Okay? Now, look at the earnings and all that stuff. They have the ability to beat it down as well. So Palantir, earlier, they were able to trade from, beating earning and then just smack it down like crazy. From here to here is how far? 75%, right? Now, you could say that short is covering right now. This is why. Or the fundamental is doing better. Okay? So keep in mind, look at this. So this is every quarter. They are doing better. I'm not saying that they, not making money and all that stuff. But let's look at it in depth, okay? Now, there's some similarity here. I'm not saying you should buy this stock at all. It's up to you for your analysis, right? But there's a similarity between Palantir and Gamestop. Now, again, it seems like today Palantir is allowed to run this much. 20% today on that earnings report. And mind you, that earning was worse than GameStop, okay, in comparison. But look at their insider ownership. At least it's more than 10%. I like that. Institutional ownership, less than 40%. But I would have liked it better if it's less than 30%, right? It just means that it's indicative that it's undervalued. Again, this is Palantir, but if you look at GameStop, it's a lot better in percentage of institutional ownership, which is lower. Of course, the consensus out there, they want you to hold, right? Why? Hold on, let me see what the forecast. So 14 people cover this stock and they want you to hold it. The price target used to be 5.13 and the highest is 25. That's what they're telling you to do. So let's look at the stat for this. Continue to look at the stat for Palantir right here. Now look at the float right here. Close to 2 billion shares of outstanding shares. What is GameStop? GameStop is at 300 million shares. So you're telling me with this amount of shares being around a float or whatever, this minus this, right? You're telling me this stock run 20% today on a, how many volume is there? On a, this is daily, by the way. Try to look at this. 170 million shares traded back and forth. Yes. Hey, Lionel, what's up? Thank you for joining. And thank you for the pointed for topics too. So I'm going to go through that in a minute. But I'm talking about Palantir right now. You look at this. Have you seen this? So Palantir did an earning. And they beat, right? That's great, right? I spoke earlier. If you just joined, I don't know if you heard that. But compared to GameStop, it's so different, right? I mean, GameStop is a lot better, obviously, but for some reason, this stock is allowed to run. But anyway, so just a quick recap there, if you didn't hear it already. Let's see. Anyway, try to yawn. So right now you have this type of things that is happening. So I'm looking at the forward P ratio, right? Look at this, 70%. I mean, this is 70 times its earning. So are you telling me that you want me to buy and hold this company that is kind of like has a forward ratio of close to 70? Right? It's dumb, to say the least. Now, price to book ratio, it's actually not too bad, but it's not too good either, right? It means that the capitalization is 13 more times its shareholder equity. So at least they have some shareholder equity here, okay? But we'll look into it a little bit more in depth. Net income. They actually have net income loss of $48 million. Last quarter, GME has a net income loss. Oh, wait, hold on. I might say this wrong. Hold on, let me look up GME net income. I think it was 100 million. I think this is a trailing 12. Yeah, trailing 12. Look at net cash or net income. Sorry, I was looking at net cash. None. Okay, so net income of 100 million. Okay, that's fine. So I guess because we lose more, that's their evaluation on the net income on the trailing 12 though. So keep that in mind. This is GameStop. Yes, last quarter they lost more than Palantir. However, they make more. They make $1.1 billion versus Palantir making what? Hold on. Making half that. $558 million. So Lionel, thank you. Just got in. Okay, that's fine. You didn't miss anything, Lionel, so but let's see. Okay, so that's one thing. I just noticed the earnings for Palantir, and of course it beats the estimation for the Wall Street out there, right? The estimate amount. That's why I was like perplexed, right, to see that. But I mean, nothing in this market is like acting according to your prediction, right? Now again, I realize that these are two different companies, right? You can't compare the two, obviously, but it's something to kind of to take note. Okay, now let's listen in to what these people. Now again, this is a Yahoo Finance, right? They always very negative about GameStop. So let's see what they are saying about Palantir here, the earnings beats and all that stuff. And let's listen in to their kind of sentiment, okay?
Tracking shares of PLTR as strong demand for its AI platform is giving Palantir a boost on the day. The company's stock and the company saw revenue jump 17% in the third quarter, boosted its outlook for the fourth quarter, now expecting revenue of $599 million to $603 million. Shares ripping to the upside right now by about 19% here on the day, but it's important to remember in context over the course of the year.
They're doing really well. It's up 177% for the year. I mean, that's if you got in on that at the beginning of this year, you're sitting pretty in terms of shares of Palantir. So clearly investors liking both how they performed and their guidance. They talked about this strong interest in AI boot camps. That was something that they talked about in shortening the amount of time of revving up training there, shortening it to days of training within AI because there's so much demand for this new frontier when it comes to this AI story. So anticipating, as you mentioned, revenue upwards of 2.2 billion, topping 2.2 billion, expected a little less than that prior. So, again, the demand picture for AI really accretive to Palantir, both in the current quarter, in the quarter gone, and the upcoming quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we continue to think about what Palantir kind of long-term is going to be making sure that they're able to do, especially with the contracts that they have more broadly here, two areas that a lot of investors here keep a close eye on, that commercial revenue and then the government revenue. The commercial revenue, that was up 23% year over year. Government revenue, that grew 12% year over year. And especially considering some of the ties that Palantir on the deal-making side have into different governments, when you have a period of geopolitical geopolitical tension or conflict like we do right now, it makes it all the more interesting of a business to continue to track how they're navigating many of those relationships. But their customer count, that also did grow 34% year over year, with U.S. commercial customers up and driving that by about 37% year over year.
Yeah, and another thing, fourth quarter in a row of profitability, had posted its first profit several quarters ago, some quarters ago. So it's certainly continuing that trend.
Tracking.
See how positive they are in the first, like, oh, high demand for AI, therefore, buy it now. And it's always like the worst time for you to buy, right? It's already been running, right? Why don't they say the same thing here, down here? And again, the reason being is that they want their boss to get in first and then just pump it up, right? How high? I don't know. Again, it's due to the company fundamental, right? But again, any time when you have, look at this, Gamestop, right? Beating expectation for 3 quarters in a row. Did they say anything back then that actually GameStop beats expectation 3 quarters in a row? Of course not. They're not going to tell you that. They rather you buy Palantir, the surge of 20% a day, right? Rather than telling you to buy Palantir here. Okay? So when the news tell you to sell something, you better pay attention to that stock. Yes, what I'm saying. All right, so let's continue to another topic. Now, thanks, Lionel, for this topic. I'm going to kind of run through this. Just found out that Sam Bankman-Fried, which was the CEO of FTX. Now, this connection here, of course, we've been kind of seeing this for a while. The connection that I'm going to tell you later on. But let's listen into this new right here, and I'll be right back. It's about 4 minutes, and it came out 2 hours ago.
Conspiracy. The third breaking news tonight here in Top Story. Sam Bankman-Fried guilty on all 7 counts of fraud and conspiracy. The 31-year-old was accused of mismanaging customer funds stored in his crypto exchange, FTX, to enrich himself and his family. We're talking about potentially $10 billion in losses. Angela Senadell is back with us. She's obviously one of our legal contributors here. You've been following this case for us. Guilty on all 7 counts. You were following the case throughout this. I mean, it was tough for him to put up a defense.
It was really tough. And frankly, I think it was lost the moment the prosecution turned the 3 lieutenants who were closest to him, especially Caroline Ellison, his former CEO. So it all started there. And that's the reason why I think Sam Bankman-Fried even stood up on the defense stand at all. He had no choice. Everyone said it was him who masterminded the entire operation. He gets up on the stand. He says, it wasn't really me. I'm pretending to be a naive person who didn't know what was happening. But all of the evidence proved otherwise.
Yeah, and essentially what he was doing, what he was accused of and now convicted of, is basically mismanaging investors' funds, right? He was sort of taking money from one pot, putting it in the other. He became the face of crypto excess, right, with FTX, and then it all collapsed on him. And on those investors, they lost their money.
Right, it's true. So to some extent, his team tried to argue that they were scapegoated, that they were just being prosecuted because he was trying something new. He was going into a brand new industry, making these huge strides. And then when it implodes, he alleged that the government just prosecuted whoever they thought was responsible while not knowing what was going on. So that's what he was saying, that he was an entrepreneur, an engineer, a visionary.
This news is still very fresh. Do we know about what type of prison time he could face?
Well, the sentencing hasn't happened yet, but it could be for the rest of his life, Tom.
The financial crimes were that severe that this man could go to jail for the rest of his life?
Yes, they were for fraud. They were mismanaging so much money, using them for lavish expenses, and lying continuously. So there were multiple counts of fraud.
One of the key witnesses in this case, right, was his former girlfriend, and she ran the hedge fund arm of this cryptocurrency. cryptocurrency. And at one point, I know there was this exchange that was sort of very damaging for the defense, where she didn't even know where the money was coming from and how it was being moved around, correct?
Yes, that's true. So his defense attempted to say that I just looked at these spreadsheets, but I didn't look closely enough, that I just kind of checked some boxes. But the problem is Caroline Ellison testified that he masterminded everything. And the biggest loophole was why he hired her and paid her only $200,000. If he was going to hire someone spectacular to really take over all the finances, you would expect that person to be paid a lot and be very well qualified. But when you have Sam Bankman-Fried as the founder, hiring someone very low level, paying them a small amount of money, and then claiming that he's not the mastermind, that's a contradiction I'm assuming the jury couldn't get around.
How much of a role did cryptocurrency itself play in this case, right? Because it's a type of currency that not everyone understands. It exists. A lot of people invest in it. It's gone up and down. If you got in early, you're still doing pretty well on it. But he became the face of this. And it also, I don't want to say it shows the uncertainty of it, but there have been a lot of big name investors, namely Warren Buffett, who have stayed away from this. How does this impact that market?
It impacts it a lot because it gives the idea that you really never know what's happening. And if you don't know what's happening at an industry, these people might just be children who are playing with your money. And once you saw the stories of them using this to pay for an arena and to pay for these lavish real estate parties, you start to understand that maybe this industry that's unregulated can have pitfalls.
Do we know when the sentencing will take place? It'll take pretty close to this verdict that we just had?
I mean, you're right. The judge will determine the date. So if he didn't set it yet already, then we should know very shortly.
And then in the meantime, he was reprimanded. He was brought from the Bahamas, where he was essentially holding up, right? And he had moved part of his business there.
Yes, he was extradited from the Bahamas, but also this is not the full extent of his trial. So they actually separated these charges, and he will be on trial again in March. So it is possible that in addition to this guilty verdict, there will be even more decades of jail time in front of him.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app.
All right. So as you heard there, obviously they're, kind of prosecute the guy and whatnot. Now, my perspective on this is a little bit kind of like conspiratory again. No, I'm kidding. I actually have, what people don't realize now. It sounds to me that this guy was a fall guy, right? Of course, they are painting him to be this good guy. And I bet you anything, he doesn't know what's going on half of the time. Okay. And it was a setup since the beginning. Okay. Now, whether he's aware of it or not, who knows, right? But what people don't realize is that before Sam Bankman-Fried was the CEO of FTX, there was another guy by the name of Brett Harrison. He resigned FTX right before it fell, right? September 22nd. And that's when, I think a couple months later, or even 6 months later, the platform was revealed to be, a fraud. But before FTX, before him was he was working right here for Citadel for at least 2 years there. That's the head of semi-systemic technology. So he knows a lot of about option, ETF, ARD. I don't know what that means. OTC, that's over-counter technology. So he's actually the head of technology. So he does a lot of like technological stuff. So yes, it makes sense that FTX would want that. However, to me, it's a setup, right? And we all know about Citadel connection to GameStop. Remember, they were the one that removed the buy button from Robinhood. Make the decision to do that, allegedly, right? There's actually like a text message, the internal text message of Robinhood. It's like it's in public already. It's like everybody knows that. But for some reason, the news didn't tell you that, did they? They just went with the surface level story. Okay. And for those people who don't kind of follow these type of things, they don't really understand half of the time what's the news trying to tell them. So that's why they did it. Again, it's a fall guy, right? Sam Bankman-Fried, I'm not saying he's not guilty here. Of course, he did spend all those money, but I think, him being a naive kid, he's probably didn't know what's going on in his company half of the time. So it's cool to be a CEO and whatnot, but it was to set him up for failure right here, right? And I think all this shenanigan happens before that already, right? But anyway, that's the connection. I got this from Moran's Twitter account. Now, but yeah, that's just my 2 cents here for that particular storyline. And the last thing that she was saying about the cryptocurrency industry, of course, that narrative had been brought up before, to where, hey, there's a lot of scam out there and all that stuff. I agree 100%, and that's why you have to be careful in that industry. But that's not to say that there is no opportunity whatsoever. The technology is there. That's why they pay attention to it. That's why they try to regulate it, right? In the worst possible way, obviously, because it hurts. Most people that got hurt from that crash is retailer, right? People who lost money. I'm a victim of that too. But I know, with platform to trust. At the time, I didn't trust FTX because it was everywhere, right? I just learned, for when the news is trying to present you somebody, you better at least question it, right? Now, CNBC actually was the one who, I think this is the one, who kind of interviewed him, putting him in the map. Hold on. I'm sure you guys see this interview before where they were lifting him up before I think this was the lady who let me see an inside look at that crypto. This is 1 year ago, okay? So this episode was 1 year ago, and they were lifting him up. So it's 24 minutes. I might just speed it up a little bit, but okay, let's listen in.
In less than 5 years, Sam Bankman-Fried went from buying his first Bitcoin to
Okay,
becoming a crypto
this is
billionaire.
too
Many, many
fast.
times over, and he's just 30 years old. Sam will tell you he's always wanted to get rich, but not for the reasons you might expect. All that money, he plans to give most of it away to charity. Do you have a sense of how much he's given away so far?
It's a bit north of 100 million so far this year.
You're pretty low-key in terms of when we think about billionaires. You don't drive a Lambo?
No, I do not.
Is there anything you do splurge on?
The place I live was intended to be an incredibly nice apartment for 4 people, and we've turned it into an apartment for 10 people, but it's nice, although a little cramped.
He lives with roommates, one of them a golden noodle named Gopher. That is Sam's Toyota Corolla in the parking lot of FTX headquarters in the Bahamas. It's one of the largest and fastest growing crypto exchanges in the world, and Sam is the CEO. Some estimates would say $1 billion in revenue last year.
Those numbers are reasonable. They're the right ballpark.
NFL star Tom Brady and supermodel Gisele Bundchen are investors in the company.
You just need FTX.
The Miami Heat play in the FTX arena, and you might remember that Super Bowl ad the company did with Larry David earlier this year.
It's FTX. It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So why should you care about a floppy-haired, vegan, fidget-spinning crypto billionaire who occasionally sleeps on a beanbag chair? During the so-called crypto winter, the 30-year-old CEO has been referred to as crypto's white knight, offering multiple loans for hundreds of millions of dollars to backstop struggling companies as the plummeting prices of digital currencies destabilize the market. You said FTX has a responsibility to seriously consider stepping into the time to save companies. Why did you have that sense of responsibility?
It's going to be important that the industry is able to get through this in one piece. It's not going to be good for anyone long term if we have real pain, if we have real blowouts, and it's not fair to customers.
He's also been called the next Warren Buffett.
To the extent there is a parallel recently, especially in this crash, looking at which assets are in a place where they pretty badly need capital. And, finding places where hopefully I can simultaneously make good investments and help backstop them and their customers in the ecosystem.
I'm sitting down with Sam Bankman-Fried to learn more about his unique investing philosophy, how he made his billions, and how he sees the future of crypto.
So that episode, I remember watching that and I was like, there's something fishy here, right? And if you look at the video, it's being posted September 16 right there at the bottom. September 16, 2022. Okay. And if you look at the one that I just showed you, when did this guy quit? September of 2022. So it was the heyday back then. Okay. Right? So he quit the same month as this video, was aired. So what does that tell me? It tells me that something has already been set up for this guy to be the fall guy for everything, right? Now, again, he's young enough. He's probably naive to think that he could pull this off. Perhaps he knew everything, right? Or perhaps he knew about it, but then didn't think it was that much of a problem because he has all these things set up already. Or perhaps he know all along and he's like, hey, I'll fall for this, right? As long as, I make billions after that. Who cares, right? And so, and he's probably bank on the connection that he had. Remember, he was donating to a lot of people, including Maxine Water. Okay, Maxine Water, if you don't know who she is the chair lady of the financial committee that questioned DFV, in that Congress shenanigans that happened. So Maxine Water, he donated to her. Of course, he donated to Joe Biden as well. He also donate to a lot of Republican, but in the dark, in the dark money pool. So, he just want to be seen as a Democratic person in order to pull the heartstring of people coming to invest in his company. And you saw all the celebrity out there that they just name like Tom Brady and all that stuff. And then even getting some guy who never do commercial ever to do commercial for him as well. So again, like all of these puff piece comes right before FTX was about to go under, right? And again, perhaps this has been planned all along because the previous president quit the same month to go on to somewhere else. So I bet you anything, if you search this, it's probably connected to Citadel as well. So let's do that together right now. Okay, so founder, hold on one second. So founder and CEO of Architect XYZ. So this is the company, Architects XYZ. Team insight. Hold on. Company, our team. This is the guy. This is the guy who quit from FTX right here in order to be the executive officer, so chief executive officer, CEO of this particular company. Now he's still in there right now. So obviously a stellar, credential here, Harvard education, right? But if you are highly educated and you are doing terrible things, why go to school for if you're just here to be, doing evils, S word. Anyway, sorry, I'm just babbling here. Okay, so, let's do this Moran style, huh? So if you look at these, now I haven't taken a look at these people yet, but if you look at prior to the digital asset industry, he held a role in business development and account management at biotech company, including Genentech. Okay, he received an MBA from University of Chicago Booth School of Business. Okay, so sounds great. Biotech, but I wonder who. But those are, you know, I could just look at that later. But I want to see who owns it. Brett Harris, but so he's pushing for a spot Bitcoin ETF. Open doors. Well, we all know that he was connected to Citadel, right? Financial tech becoming an authority on this redistributor of this is future, okay? CME Group Market Data. So this guy is in charge of collecting your data, okay? No wonder, you know, they know what to do, exactly when and where and how long, whatnot, right? So it's all technology based, and this is how they are able to manipulate the price of an action for so long. And people who are trading in and out of stock is going to get hit for a long time, unless you're sticking with the company for long term. You're not going to be able to beat these people because, again, they have all this data at the tip of their fingers. So, and you know, right now, this guy who used to be on FTX are in charge of this type of technology. So, and again, I bet you anything, it's to benefit one particular group, Citadel, right? Allegedly. But anyway, I have to do some digging myself. But I'll wait later on, so don't embarrass myself, okay? Okay, let's see. How's everybody? Do the crime, do the time. I know, right? I think he knew what he did. He ran. He didn't own his own mistake. Well, I know, like, but it seems like a setup to me, right? The guy is probably just, like, he's young enough to kind of be naive, to think that, it's no big deal. This is what the regular folks of the financial industry do all the time. He used to be a trader in some, firm, but it could just be a cover story too, right? So these type of, they call it fluff piece. They're there to manipulate people into thinking that he's a good guy, right? And again, like, they could elevate people like this, but they could also decimate somebody's name, like Ryan Cohen as well, because of that status of, like, hey, you have 3.2 million subscribers here. You have some authority, and people are more likely to believe you because, again, otherwise you wouldn't have this type of subscriber. Now, what people don't realize, sometimes, I'm not saying that this particular platform, but sometimes they buy those subscribers to appear more, more credible than they actually are. And so, again, this is just another form of manipulation here, in my opinion. Hi, Jason. Thank you for joining. But anyway, so I digress. Anyway, there's a connection everywhere, right, about the whole thing. Let's see. Of course, Bed Bath & Beyond pops up again. This is Gamestop. I'm just scrolling around here. I propose a simple idea that for each share donated to the cause and reintroduced into the brokerage, I will force one location per. I'm not quite sure what this guy is trying to do. What is this? Yeah, I need to look into that. See, that's a word again. CME. I think that's the future. Not quite sure what that is, so I'm not gonna even address that. Okay, so this one is about the Immutable X. Now, Immutable is a platform that GameStop kind of partner up with, right? And they're actually doing $7 billion in transaction in the past few days here. So it's a good news, right? The industry is just keep growing like crazy, and it's a matter of time, that the technology blockchain is going to take over, the way that we transact or transfer value from one place to another, right? And it's kind of scary to me. Like, they could track where you spend, how you spend it too. So that's another day to discover, to discuss about. Okay, so let's see. Now, Larry Chain has been a kind of the guy to go to. Now, he's a co-founder of Illusion Capital. Obviously, he's sitting at the board of GME. Not sure about this company. I might take a look at it later on, but that doesn't matter. So he's been tweeting a whole bunch. My new landline phone powered by US Mobile. This is funny. I think he's just joking. Of course, Moran's addressed this already. It just means that, we're cutting where it's necessary to be cut in order to set up for success when it's most mattered, right? If you get right here, if you look at the previous one as well, the path to profitability or profitable growth is when you get your cost structure right, which GameStop is doing perfectly fine. Your unit of economic right just means that when you sell something, make sure it makes sense to make at least some profit off of it, right? Your working capital, meaning that it should be positive. If you doing business with a negative working capital, that's going to be hard to increase your profit margin, right? So we want to get it at least to a working capital in the positive. Get your capital structure right. So what does that mean? It just means when you are selling something or using your capital, you're using it wisely, right? In order to grow wisely as well, right? So yeah, they're doing the right thing at the right time, and the time is now. If you are able to survive this and even thrive a little bit, even if you don't make that much money, you are still surviving. Meaning that you're not burning cash, you're not using your cash for stupid expansion, like buy 2 movie theater when you know that you're not going to make any money, stuff like that. Anyway, a little jab at AMC there. But anyway, so stuff like that matters, and people don't really understand it until it's too late for them already. They wait until the news comes. Oh, GameStop is a buy, and by that time it's probably like $40 already. So they always come late into the game, and they don't understand that they are being manipulated sometimes, right? So that's one. Miss any one of the first 4 steps, and you might not get to the last step. So these 4, GameStop has done immensely. Okay, and then can't stop, won't stop, GameStop. Obviously, we got a lot of GameStop logo here. So this is okay. And then if you look at his other tweet right here, companies started in difficult economic time are built with a set of value that make them sturdier than those started in an easier time. So what is he saying? He's saying that if you are able to operate in this difficult time, which GameStop has done, it is built to last longer, okay, than the company that started in an easier time, meaning Amazon, right? Amazon, well, I guess like that's not fair because they start off kind of rocky too. Nobody believed in them until, it's too late for them to believe in already. So unless you have millions of dollars invested in Amazon, by the time the news tell you to invest in, you're not going to capture most of that gain. Most of the gain captured from the people that realized the growth before the growth happened, right? So that's where GameStop is that they're at the bottom right now, meaning that they are setting up for a sturdier, environment later on. And then when it's easier to make money, it's going to grow like crazy, right? Like the expansion phase. Scarcities help foster good habit, okay? And are lost in time of plenty, meaning that scarcity makes people more frugal. Therefore, they would make better habit in preserving that capital, preserving cash in order to grow in the future. The best learning for entrepreneur and investor are happening now. Okay, so you are in a time where you want to look for companies that is in here for the long run, right? They're not going to go anywhere. They are here to make money when it's easier to make money. Right now, they are spending time developing good habits in order to set up for great expansion in the future. Anyway, so if you want to read more of his tweets, you better, go. His name is Larry Chain, okay? He has been buying share as well. Not recently, obviously. He bought up. He's one of the insider that bought share at around $17 a share post split. So it's pretty cool, meaning that they are believing in like putting their money where their mouth is, okay? So, all right, so that's that. Let's see, how long has it been? Wow, close to an hour. All right, so the last thing that I want to mention right here, let's see. So remember when I told you about the GDP being 4.9, right? Now, anytime when we have this type of discrepancy, there's always going to be a revision afterwards. The reason why they don't want to tell you the reversion, I bet you anything they overinflate everything in order to post this positive GDP number, right? They probably want to do that in order to trick the algorithm into buying the stock because, or trick retail to say, it's like, hey, GDP is actually not that bad based on this data, right? But guess what? They just revise it. So here's another thing that they know that people don't usually pay attention to is the revision. So when they post a good GDP, that's usually the market sentiment right there, right? But little did they know that that number is fake. If you don't realize that, you better realize it now. Because they don't then go to double check that information. Because again, people are busy, they're going throughout their life in order to, stay survive, right? But look at this. They have revised it back to 1.2% from 2.3%. So this is a Atlanta. So remember, each state has their own Federal Reserve, okay, board or whatever, right? They have their own economy going right there. So, but they somehow, let's see, if you look at, hold on, kind of small, right here. GDP Now model estimate for real GDP growth. Seasonality adjusted annual rate is in the fourth quarter of 2023 is 1.2% on November 1st, down from 2.3% on October 27. Right now, when there are a revision like this number don't interact. Okay, they don't interact. See, annual growth rate down from this to 1 point something, right? Yeah, 1.2 from 2.3. After this morning, construction spending release from U.S. Consensus Bureau and Manufacturing ISM report on business from the Institute of Supply Management. The now cast of fourth quarter real personal consumption expenditure growth and fourth quarter real growth private domestic investment growth decrease from 3% to 2.2% respectively. So they revise it later and it's worse than what they reported. Highly predictable, right? To 1.5 to, let's see, negative. So, okay. This is 5% different, you guys. So from plus 3% to negative 2.2%. That's 5.2% difference. Okay, and the stock market just keep going up. You see what I mean? So again, they just look at the first data, and that's why they do the revision later, so that people don't pay attention. When they pay attention, it's too late for them to pay attention already. Right? Anyway, so my conclusion is I'm not telling you guys this right here to scare any of you, right? I'm telling you to prepare for the worst. And, and I hope that GameStop's gonna survive, which I have no doubt that GameStop's gonna do fine, Yes, you might see price action coming down and get depressed about it. That's exactly how they want you to feel. Just know that. Again, every single time this type of thing is going to happen, right? They could overestimate it to the point where GameStop can't beat. You see this right here? This is quarter 4, you guys. When quarter 4 comes along, they overestimated it. Okay? Oh, wait, hold on. This is quarter 3. Sorry. This is quarter 4. Right, so even with the overestimation right here, GameStop still win out. This is an overestimation of at least $200 million. They knew that GameStop could not possibly reach that. Right, like this one, for example, 1.2 estimate. What is this one? 1.3. So this is fourth quarter, third quarter, second quarter, first quarter, right here. First quarter. Okay, what is this first quarter? So first quarter, they missed the revenue, right? But anyway, I always hold the the idea, or it's like one of those things where I'm like, what the hell? What the hell? Sorry. I don't know what I'm talking about. Woo! That was a long live stream, you guys. I'm tired. So, let's see. Go 1 more hours. Yeah. Thank you, Lionel. I appreciate your enthusiasm right there. You know. No. Is there any question you want to ask me, Lionel? Any question? I'm trying to speak Spanish. Telepregunta. Pregúntale. Hello, this kitty corner. Kitty corner. Hi, what's up? It's always the worst time, like Monster Buddy. Like I'm always on the way out and you guys are here. What is going on? Should I be starting later? Nah, I'm kidding. But anyway, so I was looking at this like data here, and I bet you anything, these data, it's probably like not even accurate, right? Because they have the ability to revise it later on, you know, in a couple of days when people are not paying attention or people just forgot about it, right? And any news whatsoever comes out of the news, you better become more aware of anything, right? So, let's see. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those kind of like, is there something more happening here? Let's see. But, oh yeah, I was watching this earlier too. And I'm sure you guys know who this person is, obviously, right? Now, this is, I would say, works for a particular period of time when debt is cheap, okay? Now, this is Kiyosaki, Robert Kiyosaki, and he's famous with a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Yes, he advised a whole bunch of people to take a lot of loans, but it makes sense the way that he explains it. But I'll come back later and let's listen to this short clip first, though.
Can make money much faster than Apple or Tesla, and I would use debt. I wouldn't use my money.
But do you think they use their money to grow?
Of course not. Look at Amazon, this guy Bezos, right? He's one of the richest men in the world. Do you think he pays any taxes?
I wouldn't bet on that.
He doesn't pay taxes. Trump doesn't pay taxes. I don't pay taxes. So the question is, how do guys like us do it is the question you should be asking. Now, if I borrow money, guess what? Do I pay taxes on debt?
I guess no.
Okay, question everything.
Okay.
So how do I get rich? I borrow money and I buy assets with it. I can make.
So yeah, in kind of like in an environment when debt is zero, right? 0%. Yes, of course, but what regular people could borrow money at 0%? What regular people could only pay tax as low as Amazon, right? So you have to have the connection to do it, or have the, I guess, like the business that you own, and you keep borrowing money. It's like, but then my question is, why would society elevate these type of people, right? Because they're run by these type of people. I mean, paying tax is supposed to be the most patriotic thing. It should be the most American things in the world. But yet you have these big corporations like Amazon, as I showed you earlier. They don't pay that much tax, and it's evidence in their earnings report, right? I'm not just making this up. Go look at just like last quarter, last 12 months, how much Amazon actually paid in tax. Even though they make billions of dollars, they only pay a sliver of that. Why? right? And then on top of that, they get elevated. It's like, oh, this is the most American in the world. Like, you know, they're being smart because they don't pay taxes. Really? Try not paying taxes like a regular people. What would you do? What would people say? People would say you are the, like, unpatriotic, like you deserve to go to jail if you don't pay tax. Right? But if these people are doing it on the open, saying that the reason why I don't pay tax is because I'm a smart businessman. Okay, you're being smart, but you're not paying your fair share. But then you get the protection of the media out there. So that's just my frustration here on my way out. Again, like things like this, I know life is not fair. I get it. But at the very least, try to pretend, you know, there's some fairness in the world, because otherwise, you know, unless you are connected to the rich and powerful, what hope do you have as a honest businessman? Like even the rich billionaires like Ryan Cohen is not even in the freaking club. Think about it, you know, because they don't even want this type of billionaire. You know, they don't want people like Ryan Cohen. So it seems to me to succeed in this world. But anyway, I'm just... And that's why I resonate with Ryan Cohen, because he's not the type to be like, oh, let's just, you know, file for bankruptcy on purpose in order to make the most amount of money in a short period of time. You know, he's here to build something greater than himself, you know, and die trying. Right? So it seemed, right? Again, I don't know the guy, but every time I listen to Ryan Cohen talk or interview or tweet or whatever, I just admired the guy so much. You know? No, I'm not saying Robert Kiyosaki is a criminal here. You know, of course he's just playing the system. The system allow him to do what he does without, you know, of course he has to work for it. He has to understand what to do with the taxes and all that stuff. But he learned to be an expert on the right thing. That's why he got rich, right? Because tax and real estate. So, yeah. Anyway. All right, guys. That's all I have for this live stream. Thank you so much for joining. Lionel, appreciate you. Jason and Monster Buddy 23. All right.